YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with another episode of NFL Overreaction Monday, based off Week 9's action, which we're pretty much through. Got the Patriots and the Jets. We'll see if that ends up going the way we expect it. Some surprising outcomes this week in Week 9. But we take a look at, sent in by you guys through our Twitter, some overreactions or some statements, and I guess I react to your overreactions, or maybe you think other people are saying those overreactions. You might not necessarily be thinking that, but yeah, got this video, plenty of other videos, full NFL coverage on the Goat House, even in the offseason. So please subscribe. We're getting real close to that 60K goal. It'd be much appreciated if you can help us out. Twitter, how you get involved, and we're constantly talking about NFL. Instagram, podcast, Patreon, a lot going on here. Link in the description and comments for anything that you may need. Right before we get started, we have a Patreon. Junior score predictions are on there. My bets of the week for NFL, college football, updated playoff predictions. We'll probably have a video here this week on YouTube, but other weeks we'll have those updated playoff predictions on there, and those are updated every week. Bonus content, Discord access, always adding more to that. A lot going on there. Link down below if you're interested. A lot of supporters on there already. Appreciate you very much. Overreaction Monday, though, the first one, we got quite a few Bucs Saints ones here to start because that surprising game and statement win for the New Orleans Saints. They're a huge win. So it's a hot topic right now. People are kind of questioning the Bucs. They're starting to get higher on the Saints, so we're going to be talking about it here quite a bit. So from Max, AB, Antonio Brown, curse in Tampa. And I see a lot of people saying this. I don't know if everyone's like 100% serious when they say this. I think some people probably are. I'm not a big curse guy. Overreaction, I think. But I do think he hurt them yesterday, which is different in my opinion. I don't think he was ready. I think it was more Arians and in that staff's fault. Probably Arians. Tom Brady probably had to say as well for throwing him in there. It's one thing if it's the Washington football team for one of many examples, and you just don't have enough receiver. I mean, you have enough, but you need more receivers, and AB would be better even if he's not ready than most of them besides Terry McLaurin in that one example. But Tampa's got a long list of pretty solid receivers that have even gotten better. They're pretty talented, so it really was no point to having a guy in there who didn't understand the plays or the routes, really. And it kind of seemed like it, but it was actually a fact that Antonio Brown just didn't know what route to run on multiple plays, and Brady didn't help him. Other targets didn't help Brady. And he hurt them last night because of that, but were they going to win if he was? No. If he ran the right route? No. The Saints absolutely dominated them. These Saints right here, look at this. Signed by the one and only Mitch Berger. I have a Saints helmet signed by a punter. Yes. But he did play for the Vikings, so I think I'm allowed to have it. I probably should wear this when the Saints beat on Christmas? Saints beat the Vikings on Christmas. I probably should rock that in it's probably too big for my head, but I probably should rock that thing in a video. That would be, and we all know the Saints are probably going to handle business on that game. But yeah, the Saints dominated last night, and if Antonio Brown did run the correct routes, he might have helped the team a little more, but there was really no changing anything in the outcome of that game. But no curse, but he did hurt them. Next up, we got Aaron is sus. This is the beginning of the downfall of the Bucs before it ever really got started, and the Saints will control the NFC the rest of the year. Kind of a two-parter, but I kind of have the same answer for both. Another overreaction. I'm going to go overreaction for both, actually. Let me start with the Saints part, because that could be accurate. You could predict that could be accurate. The Saints may control the NFC the rest of the year very well. I just think it's it's a little bit of an overreaction to say that right now, fresh off, because the Saints been streaking wins wise, but they haven't really been that impressive this year. But at the same time, we expect the Saints are good every year. We expect them to be good, so they got to do something really impressive for us to be impressed with them. But I was very much impressed against the Buccaneers last night, Sunday Night Football. So it's tough, It's tough to say they will be the team that controls the NFC. I do think it's pretty wide open, but I also think there's like several teams that could do it. I still think the Bucs possibly. I think the Bucs and the Saints head to head, it looks like the Saints are much better. But it's all about being better in the field, which very well could be the Saints. They're trending towards that direction, even though that we already know they're better head-to-head. They're trending that direction of being better against the field, it feels like, as well. But you got the Packers, Seahawks, we can keep going on. But again, I think you can predict that, and it could be accurate. And I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but I still think it's an overreaction because of one game against the Bucs. Maybe they match up well against them, but that's tough. They could be the team to beat now in the NFC for sure. Is this the beginning of a downfall for the Bucs before it really got started? I think that's an overreaction. I think less of them now because I'm kind of just with these good teams. I'm in my head. I'm kind of thinking future playoffs, and I talk about it all the time. It's about winning, consistently playing well and winning back-to-back games against the best. And if the Bucs show me they have moments like that, they tell me that they can't do that. They might win in the first round, the second round, but it's eventually going to pop up unless they fix it. They could. So I think less of the Bucs for that reason now. I don't know if I would call it a downfall though. I'm not really calling anything a downfall. They're still going to compete. They're still going to expect them to be in the playoffs. So I think both are overreactions. A couple more Saints ones from Ethan Phillips. Drew Brees is still a top 5 quarterback. They don't call it Overreaction Monday for nothing. I'm going to say overreaction. Brees played a hell of a game. He's a hell of a quarterback, Hall of Fame quarterback. Top 5. Can't call him top 5 right now. It's tough to be top 5. You look at how many quarterbacks there are playing at that high of a level. He's had his moments, his great moments, his bad moments this year. It's just tough to say top 5 right now. So I think it's an overreaction based off one game, an impressive game. One more Saints one, I believe, unless I'm about to surprise myself here. Ezekiel, Gonzalez, and Saldi. Saints have a top 10 defense. This is a tough one to answer, how I want to answer. I know the direction I want to go here. I'm going to call it overlooked, actually, because I'm kind of just trying to think how other people think. I think people think the Saints defense kind of balanced, but is it really a top 10? Probably not, based on they were giving up big plays downfield. Their coverage hasn't been too great. They haven't been getting that much pressure up until last night. But take a look at all the NFL defenses. Take a look at all the NFL defenses right now. I think the Saints are in the top 10. I think they actually are. I don't know if it's more saying the defenses in the NFL are pretty bad. It's not that hard to be a top 10 defense, but also if you tack on what they did last night, that looked like a top 3 defense, maybe number 1. But we got to see more of it to kind of confirm it or be confident about it. But yeah, they actually might be. Adding that game into the other, the other parts of the resume and what other NFL defenses are doing, I think they're right there. I think they're right there. So people might overlook that one there. Moving on, though. We're done with the Saints and Bucs. It's about time. Eric Starkman. Nagy must go now. Right now. I'm kind of back and forth on, Nagy's a problem right now. His play calling is pretty terrible. But at the same time, I'm realizing more and more, that the Bears just don't have enough on that team, on that offense, I should say. They need a lot more, whether it's offensive line. I know they're pretty beat up at offensive line, running back, another receiver or 2 if Allen Robinson goes, a quarterback, obviously. Did I say offensive line? I think I did. They might need another play caller, though, as well. I think it's a legitimate excuse for Nagy, but the play calling is not an excuse. It's got to be much, much better, especially on crucial downs, 3rd down, 4th down. It's got to be better. They do have the easier part of their schedule coming up, very much easier. So maybe they believe it's something I'm back and forth on whether he should be fired now. I'm gonna say it's fair to think this. I think it's definitely fair to think this. Because he's not doing a good job. Whether they don't have the talent or if they have the talent or not, which I don't know if they do really. I don't think they do. He's just not getting it done, and he's making some poor choices. And he's definitely not the answer going forward. So it's not like you're gonna regret a decision letting him go. You might spark something by firing him now. It's back and forth on, in my opinion. For me, if I think they should fire them, I don't think he should be the coach going forward after this year. But if they should fire him right this second, it's something I'm, back and forth on. But it's definitely not the answer long term. So it's an interesting one. From Carter, Dolphins are a top 10 team. Really like the Dolphins. Love their defense. They did give up some big plays, some yards, some points in that game. End up winning the game. Their offense is showing it could be pretty dangerous as well. Pretty complete team, young team, hard to game plan against. Very good coaching staff as well. Brian Flores has been fantastic this year. They got that game plan factor. That's the main thing about them. It's it's a team that there's harder teams or better teams I can go against. The Chiefs, the Steelers, maybe. But I might rather go against those teams. Like, it kind of sounds weird, but just a tough game plan. You don't know what they're going to throw at you on either side of the ball. I still think it's an overreaction to call them a top 10 team. There's a lot of good teams. They're up there. The question with the Dolphins right now is, and it's the same thing with Tua last week. It's similar to Tua last week because you look at Tua against the Rams, he didn't really do much, but he didn't need to do a lot. But it was still a question, though. Can he do it? Can he execute? I was obviously believing he could against the Cardinals. A lot of people would kind of doubt him a little bit just because he didn't do a lot the previous week. But if you didn't watch, that's probably people that didn't watch the game. But same thing with the Dolphins as a team. They're playing these really good games, but the question is, can they continue to execute? Can they be consistent executing? Because sometimes young teams aren't consistent. So it's kind of got to wait and see. Even though I believed, kind of an example, I believed in Tua to play very well. There was a portion in my mind, there was a thought that I need to see more. I need to see it before I can say it's a fact, So it's a similar situation. I know they're a dangerous team. I already said that. They're a good team, both sides of the ball. I like this team a lot. Definitely a team of the future, maybe the team of the future. Just go out and show me you can be consistent. There's no, moments where even the Bucs, the Bucs aren't a young team really. Their defense is actually kind of young, but the Bucs are like kind of a new team, because they got a lot of new guys. It's only Bruce Arians' second year, a lot of new faces, important spots, and they're having those moments. Because of that, I think those sloppy games, sloppy moments, even though they're a really good team. So can the Dolphins avoid that? If they can avoid that even once or twice, that is extremely impressive. But you kind of got to go out and show us, and I'm not doubting them. They just got to do it. This is really what it is. T-Money. I thought this was an interesting one here with the Giants. The Giants are better than what their record shows, and if they can manage to finish out games, they can win the NFC East. It's a two-parter. This is something that's been in my head, too. I've been thinking about, the Giants, Daniel Jones, should they have more wins? And this is different in my opinion. People may say it's the same thing, but I think it's definitely different. The Giants should have more wins. They should have won Eagles game. They should have won the Buccaneers game maybe. Maybe could have won more. The Bears game, they could have won. They could have they could have a decent record. But to me, that's different than they're better than what the record shows. The record could be better. Should have won more games. But that's who they are. Can manage to finish out games, and they are better if you can finish out games, but that's kind of who they are. So I think it's an overreaction to say they are better than what their record shows. I think their record should be better, but are they what they put on the field as a team? I don't know if they're that much better. I don't know if they're maybe a little bit. I don't know. They might be overlooked. They actually have a. I think people kind of go just Eagles. Eagles are winning the NFC East. That Giants went over. I think Washington with their schedule, and they're not far behind. They weren't, I guess, and they had a win over the Eagles. They had a shot, but they had to beat the Giants. The Giants beat them, obviously twice now, and that's huge. So the Giants actually, believe it or not, can do some damage here in the NFC East. So something to watch. They play the Eagles this upcoming week. That's huge. That's a huge game. Patrick Tibbetts, Daniel Jones is the best quarterback in the NFC East. Overreaction. I don't know if anybody's saying this though. Overreaction. Dak definitely is, no question. But I'm guessing we're not counting Dak here, then I'm still going Carson Wentz. Even though I'm extremely disappointed with his play this year, I'm still going with Carson Wentz. But I was assuming we're not counting Dak on next. He's not playing, but maybe we are. I don't know. But I think Dak gets it very easily if he is. Rufus Bishop, Derek Carr starting to elite quarterback. Derek Carr's impressed me. His stock is up, in my opinion. My thoughts on Derek Carr. He makes some elite throws here and there. I think it takes, especially last game, he didn't throw for a whole lot of yards, but he has made some big boy throws, big boy plays, and he has been this year. But say turning into an elite quarterback, somehow I think he's getting better. I think he's just kind of getting back in the groove and getting going under Gruden's offense. But he is getting better, and he's good. Elite quarterback is definitely an overreaction. There's just so much more to the games of the elite quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson. There's just so much more. Aaron Rodgers. There's so much more to their games. I think Carr's one of those guys where he really, like if, Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, for an example, Aaron Rodgers knows how to, the same guys. If they can beat pressure, Carr could beat pressure sometimes. I just think he's a guy that really needs a really good offensive line, which is okay. I think most quarterbacks do. So it's hard to say elite with a guy that needs other situations around him to be not like perfect, but I think you get my point. But he's very impressive right now. Very impressive. Gannon, the Bills are the best team in the AFC, and Josh Allen is the runner-up for MVP. Best team in the AFC is an overreaction, I think. We still got the Chiefs. The Steelers are undefeated right now. I think it's an overreaction. They struggled against the Titans as well. Just naming a few teams there. I think it's an overreaction. Josh Allen is the runner-up for MVP. So I don't know if he meant front runner, but I think runner-up would be right behind the top, I suppose. Second place right now. And I think it's fair to say, if that's what you meant, I think it's fair to say because I think there's a bunch of guys kind of tied in second right now. A whole long list of guys. It's pretty wide open. I have a guy that's in first place. But after that, I think there's a bunch of guys tied in that second and third range there. So I think it's actually fair to say that. I think he can be in that bunch of guys group, So I think it's fair to think that. Dove, the Bills are a legitimate AFC contender. It's a good one. This is a good one. I'm gonna say overlooked. I think people will see they got beat up by the Titans, and it did happen. The Chiefs are the defending champions. They're projected to be the best team in the NFL. The Steelers are undefeated. So I think teams will look at that, and those teams are more of favorites. I agree with that. But I think because of those things I just listed, those teams and those what happened in some games, people will kind of just say no chance to Bills. I think you can call them a contender, an AFC contender. I think they can. It's going to be tough for them to beat, because they might have to go through two of those teams. Who knows? Maybe more of the ones I listed. Probably two of the three that I listed to get toward the the contender, the promised land. So it's going to be very tough. But this is a team, you remember last year how much better they got by playoff time, and maybe they're getting better right now. We see that Seahawks game. So it's definitely a team you can't count out. I'm not saying they're the top contender, maybe not even the second or third. I think you can call them a contender, though. I think you can call them a legitimate contender. They're a good team, and people might be overlooking that. I don't know. Got to stay consistent, though. Patrick Mahomes is the obvious MVP leader, and this is, I'm gonna say it's a fact. It's pretty bold to say something's a fact like this. It is tough though because, like I said, I think it's a lot of guys are right there in the mix. Probably the most. We're heading into Week 10, maybe the most we've ever seen ever. By Week 10 in the NFL, I consider and list guys that are in the mix, but I do think Patrick Mahomes is by himself at the top. I think so. I said that before this Week 9, and it's even more so now with Russell Wilson's struggles, even though I don't think that will continue, and Patrick Mahomes clutching up, making big plays in the Panthers game and a shootout type game where you need elite offense, and adjusting to what the Panthers defense was throwing at you. So I think Patrick Mahomes is I think nobody really should have anybody else right now, but there are a long list. We want to talk about them. Okay, we got Russell Wilson, we got Josh Allen, we got Aaron Rodgers. Tom Brady feels like he took himself out of the mix. Ryan Tannehill's been in the mix. Look at the running backs: Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry. Those guys are in the mix. There's some receivers playing out of their minds right now. DK Metcalf's playing out of his mind. You got to have him in the mix. Devontae Adams. You got DeAndre Hopkins, Kyler Murray. Forgot about Kyler Murray for the quarterbacks. There's a long list. I probably forgot somebody too. The long list of guys that are in the mix right now. That's my opinion, but I think there's probably more than ever. But I do have Patrick Mahomes at the top right now. And I think most people should, or everybody. Next, Jason Goats. The Packers didn't need to make a trade at the deadline. Hashtag Overreaction Monday. This is actually kind of a tough one. I know the Packers fans were dying to were dying. They definitely think they needed to. They were dying to get a move done. Didn't make. I'm gonna. If you think they didn't need to make a move, I think it's probably based off the Niners game, maybe fresh off that. Say overreaction. I don't know if they. It's tough because remember it involves trading away a draft pick, and maybe you just didn't want to trade away a draft pick. I can understand that. So I don't know if I can say they needed to. They absolutely had to. Maybe had. I don't think I can. I can't say they had to, but they probably needed to be quite honest. They still can make it. They still can make it to the Super Bowl with what they got for sure. I think it's a big circle with the NFC. The Saints are better than the Bucs head to head. The Bucs are better than the Packers head to head, perhaps. And the Bucs match up well against the Seahawks. Honestly, the Seahawks probably match up well against the Saints. The Packers match up well against the Seahawks against the Packers against the Saints. We're in a big circle. I think the Rams match up well with some of these top dog teams. I think the Rams are better against the better teams than they are against the weaker teams. That's my opinion right now. We'll find out against the Seahawks, which game could go either way. So you could say the Packers really have a shot, but I think if you would have made there's moves that you could have made. Will Fuller, you could add a linebacker, defensive line. They were talking about Dalvin Tomlinson. I think any of those moves, I think Will Fuller probably been the big one. That actually makes you a decent amount better in what's like pretty much making you tied with these other teams or a team that you're supposed to be better than, but they have a matchup favor on you. I think a move like that could have put you over the top. So that's why, and this is kind of your year. Rodgers, I don't want to say his time's running out because he's playing fantastic, but you're like in win. You're trying these next few years. You're winning the Super Bowl. It's pretty much Super Bowl or bust for you, And I'm not really a fan of their drafting, and they're drafting for future, so I don't think it would hurt to trade a draft pick. So I think they kind of needed to. Is it weird? I think needed to and had to is different. And it might be kind of weird that I think that, but I don't know. Yeah, they probably I can't blame a team for not wanting to get. We don't really know exactly what the pick was second round pick for Will Fuller. Can't really blame a team. You can't blame the Texans for asking for what they want. They don't have to get rid of him. You can't blame the Packers for not wanting to give up a pretty valuable pick. They did just draft the third stringer with their second round pick though. I don't know. It's a tough one. Probably should have made the move though. It's tough. Callum, Steelers have the worst offensive coordinator in the game. At the very least, he's the worst play caller. Hashtag fire Fitchner. Seen a lot of this. Seen a lot of the complaining about the play caller. I'm calling it an overreaction. And I'm not saying he's a good play caller or anything. There's things that need to be better. I think they wait too long to take shots. They kind of go by what you should do a lot. Insist on things. Second and long runs. There's things I don't like. It's definitely an overreaction, though. If he was the worst play caller in the game, you'd be under 500 right now. You're undefeated. You're the only undefeated team in the NFL. Steelers fans need to relax a little bit. You don't have to be happy with him. You don't have to be happy. But I think we're getting a little ridiculous here. Play calling is one of the most important things in football. It was really, I know you're winning a lot because of defense. You have scored some points. They made some big plays and crucial moments on offense, though. If he was that bad of a play caller, you'd be 500 at best. At best, that is one of the most important things in football. It does need to be better, but I think they're getting a little carried away. You're undefeated. I know it needs to be better against the Cowboys. It needs to be better against, we're happy with against the Ravens. You're playing a really good defense. Second half against the Titans. I don't like them. They were turning the ball over, though. They were turning the ball over a little bit. So too much blame, too much heat. Needs to be better. Nowhere near the worst. You know how many bad ones there are on top of that? There are some very bad ones. Even head coaches that are worse play callers right now. So I think it's a bit of an overreaction. And then the last one, feeling coy. Whoever wins the AFC will easily win the Super Bowl. I said this the last 2 years. Last 2 years, before the playoffs, I said whoever wins the AFC is going to. I was locking it. I guaranteed it the last 2 years. And and because the AFC's been that much better. That they've been that good. So can it happen again? I kind of was feeling it going into this year again, and I'm thinking it now. I think there's a good chunk of AFC teams that are better than any team in the NFC. I think it's my opinion right now. Maybe it's a little early still to say. The Chiefs, the Steelers, the Ravens, the Titans, the Bills, the 5 teams. I think those 5 teams might be better than anybody in the NFC. Sure, at any given time, one of those NFC teams could line up against one of those teams and beat them. Very possible. I'm not saying they have no shot. I think those 5 teams might be better than anybody in the NFC, though. But that's a tough one to answer because we'll easily win the Super Bowl. Super Bowl's not easy. I think the AFC team will win. I do think the AFC team will win right at this moment. I can't say fact when it's easily win the Super. I'm gonna say fair because I like the AFC. I think they're better right now. I said it the last 2 years. I'm kind of saying it again. We need to see more though. Maybe the Saints look damn good. That was probably the biggest statement win. Dominant win of the year based on the circumstances, who you're playing, how big that game was, how they played on both sides of the ball. So if the Saints continue to go like that, man, that's a scary team for sure. The Bucs look scary at one point. The Seahawks look scary at one point. The Packers look scary at one point. Are they still scary? The Vikings are coming. I'm kidding. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the NFC there. Listen, I'm forgetting somebody there, but the NFC East, whoever wins the NFC East, what if the NFC East winner just won that first round? I don't see them winning any more. I don't see them winning that one, but that'd be pretty wild. Yeah. Cardinals, Rams, sneaky teams. Those teams are teams like the playoff teams don't want to see, I think. The Cardinals and the Rams. Those can be pretty sneaky teams, I think. They're not Super Bowl teams right now. Team that you're not really going to look forward to matching up with, though, even though you could still beat them. So I'm getting excited thinking about these different matchups for playoff teams. Right now there's it feels like free wins each week, but interesting things happening, some surprises happening for some teams there, but we'll see. We will see. That's going to wrap it up for this video. Please follow the Twitter to get involved more. Subscribe, smash that like button, turn notifications on so you don't miss anything. Full NFL coverage here at the Goat House. But that's going to do it. That's going to do it for this one. Thanks everyone for watching. Goodbye.